Welcome back. Well, as we know, that horrific terrorist attack from Hamas on Israel, everybody's radar has gone up to see what's going on, and that is same in the Jewish American community. Joining me right now is Jonathan, and Jonathan, there has been a little bit of a change in the Jewish American community as well. Their radar has gone up and they're taking action. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You know, traditionally, I would say the majority of American Jews were Democrat supporters, for the most part, politically more to the left than to the right. And for the most part, either anti-gun or at least not particularly interested in firearms. It just wasn't part of the mentality of the culture of most American Jews. I mean, don't forget, they're coming from New York City, from Boston, from New Jersey, places where gun ownership is not not normalized, and is very heavily regulated. And so it really traditionally hasn't been part of the American Jewish culture, unfortunately, except for, there have been a few of us who have been.
Right.
But for the most part, that wasn't the mainstream. And since this horrific grisly massacre on October 7th, and specifically as a result of these disgusting displays of hate by thousands and thousands of Hamas supporters in cities all across America, I mean, there have been rallies in New York, in Washington, D.C., in Miami, in Los Angeles, Denver, I mean, you name it, they've been all over the place. Some of them have been violent, blocking traffic, attacking police officers, attacking Jews, vandalizing synagogues, and calling for bloodshed, calling for gassing Jews, and I mean, horrific anti-Semitism. And this is also in the wake of some really deadly attacks that have occurred against Jewish communities in the last 10 years. I mean, there was the Pittsburgh massacre where 11 Jews were murdered by a neo-Nazi in a synagogue, and then, of course, the Poway shooting, and then there was Jersey City and the Muncie attacks that all happened within the last decade. You really have a situation where people feel threatened. A lot of American Jews, they don't feel secure anymore. They feel that they are being targeted, and they are. And so that's really woken up a lot of people to the importance of gun ownership and to start appreciating the Second Amendment. Because in the past, a lot of these people viewed guns as something that was a threat to them, something that bad guys would be using against them, and that probably only law enforcement and the military should have firearms. But now they appreciate the importance of personal gun ownership, and you see this whole movement of thousands and thousands of Jews all over America, people who never would have done this before, that are getting armed. They're getting their CCWs in states where that's required, and they're starting to carry, and they're getting trained. You have in synagogues all across the country, they have armed volunteer response teams being formed of synagogue members, and people are starting to really get involved like you've never seen before. And this is, more than anything else, this is becoming mainstream because, back 10 or 15 years ago, the idea of Jewish gun ownership in America would have been seen as something that was kind of fringe, kind of extreme. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I've been a gun owner and a gun instructor for many, many years. But that was looked at in the mainstream a while back as being a fringe and, extreme kind of position. And that's changed now. It's totally normalized. The idea of carrying a firearm in synagogue is totally normal. You see Jews going to synagogue, open carrying weapons, many concealed carry weapons, and this is just now becoming a part of the culture across the board. Now, is that necessarily going to translate into the majority of Jews in America voting Republican rather than Democrat? I can't say that for a fact. I know that there certainly is a proportion, a certain number that are, because they see the Democrats, they see the squad supporting Palestinian terrorism. That's definitely going to push them away from, the party that they've been supporting. Because, I mean, look, let's face it, the Democrat Party today is not what it was in the 50s. It used to be the party of the working man, right, and it turned into a fascistic, communist, radical left-wing party, which is pushing every degenerate agenda that you can imagine, boys and girls bathrooms and cross-dressers and supporting terrorism and really horrific things and, open borders. And so I am seeing a change, and I hope that over time that's going to change, that there will be a change in political party affiliation and voting, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the ballot box if we're going to keep our gun rights or not. But we are seeing a change on the ground. A lot of American Jews are getting armed. we're close to New York City. We're based 2 hours from New York City, so we're having tons of Jews from New York, especially since the decision overturning New York's ban on carry permits. So now anybody can, well, not anybody, but most law-abiding citizens can get a CCW in New York, in New Jersey, and so tons of these people who live in Brooklyn, who live in northern New Jersey and Long Island, they're coming to us, and we're training them and we're certifying them for their concealed carry permits, and they're getting their permits and they're carrying, and that's creating secure communities.
I really believe it is, and because right now they're through the protests and the riots that we've already had and the open border that we have, I think there's going to be a number of assaults within the United States over the next 10 months until we get a new president in here. And so very smart for everybody to arm themselves and get trained as well to how to use that, so it's not just a paperweight laying around the house. In fact, your company offers training, doesn't it?
Absolutely, that's what we do. We are an Israeli firearms training school, and we specialize in defensive firearms training with handguns, with rifles, Uzi submachine gun, shotgun, etc. And we're providing training for hundreds and thousands of people. Of course, we don't only train Jewish people, we train law-abiding Americans in general, but we are seeing a huge surge in demand specifically from the Jewish community, especially since October 7th.
And Jonathan, can you quickly give us that website in case somebody out there wants to be able to contact you and get trained?
Absolutely. So our website is www.cherevgidon.com. That is CHEREVGIDON.com. And then you can always check out our YouTube channel, which is just search Cherev Gidon on YouTube. That's CHEREV, and then new word GIDON. Look us up. Feel free to subscribe. We've got a whole bunch of free training videos there and gun reviews.
Easy enough. Jonathan, thanks for being on again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.